folks, welcome back to the channel and welcome back again to our attic renovation project. Now in the last video I told you guys about my DIY homemade dust collector system that I made for my shop vac, and that was just out of a 5-gallon bucket with my 6-gallon shop vac brand vacuum. And I told you guys I was going to show you how I made it, and that is exactly what I want to do today. So again guys, welcome back to the channel and welcome back to our attic renovation project. If you guys are new to the channel, thank you for stopping by, and if you hadn't done so already, please consider hitting that subscribe button so you can follow along with this entire attic renovation project. So again, as I mentioned in the last video, I was using my homemade DIY dust collector system to clean up a lot of this drywall dust to get ready for primer and paint on the drywall itself. Now, I told you guys I was going to show you how I made it, and this is very simple, so let me just walk you through what I had to get, what I had to buy to make this dust collector system. And be sure to stick around to the end of the video because I'm going to show you guys why this thing sucks, and I've got something else that is really going to improve vacuuming up this drywall dust. So to get started, obviously you got to have yourself a 5-gallon bucket. I actually did not have one with a lid, so I had to go to my local hardware store and pick one up, but they were, you know, $4 or $5 for the 5-gallon bucket and lid. Next, of course, you got to have a shop vac, and I'm presuming if you're watching this video, you already have a shop vac. And then the only other parts and pieces that I had to buy were a 45-degree PVC coupler, and then this 1.5 inch to 1 1/4 inch rubber pipe reducer fitting, and then I actually had some pipe clamps or hose clamps just laying around in the garage. So what you got to do, take your 45-degree coupler, trace it out on the lid of the 5-gallon bucket, and then just cut that circle out, place the 45-degree coupler in the hole, and then what I used to seal everything up, I used some hot glue, but then I also used some Gorilla Glue construction adhesive just to finish filling in all of the air gaps to make sure I had no leaks. And then once that's dry, I just took this rubber coupler reducer fitting, placed it over top of the 45-degree coupler, and then cinched it down with the pipe clamp. And then the other step you're going to have to do to actually get the vortex circulation going on is you're going to have to install a, this is actually one of the crevice tools from the shop vac that I had laying around and was not using. So I just simply cut a hole in the side of the shop vac so I could slide this crevice tool inside, and you can kind of see in there what that looks like when it comes through. And then again, I just used some hot glue to seal up all of the air gaps, and then a little bit of construction adhesive just to make sure it would hold properly. Now, you're probably asking, why do I have blue painter's tape on this connection here? Well, the reason is I don't have a second coupler for the hose to the crevice tool like you would have, you know, for any other attachment that you would attach to the hose. So all I simply did was just line this thing up and then just tape it with blue painter's tape. It has worked well, and you know, I haven't had any problems with it. And speaking of working well, before I made the video, I have used this thing. I wanted to test it out and make sure, or to see how well it worked before, you know, I suggested to you guys or showed you how to build this thing. I wanted to make sure it worked for my purposes, which, spoiler alert, it doesn't really work all that well for picking up drywall dust. And again, be sure to stick to the end of the video because I'm going to show you guys how I ended up getting my shop vac to perform really well to suck up all this drywall dust. But with that, guys, I want to show you how this setup works and how it performs, or lack thereof, picking up this drywall dust. So before we get started, I just wanted to show you, you guys saw in the bucket there that there was no dust, no debris or anything. It was cleaned out. And I just want to show you guys the condition of my shop vac. Yes, it is dirty, but I did dump it out before making the video here. And then also my filter, while it is dirty, you know, it does not have really much of any drywall dust or anything caked in the filter. So that is the initial condition before we get started. Let me get everything hooked up and I'll show you guys how this thing works, and then I'll show you the results after we finish sucking up some of this drywall dust. So I'm just putting the vacuum line from the shop vac into this rubber hose reducer. And then again, I've got the actual vacuum line coming out of the dust collector. And for this one, I've got some small areas over here that I'm actually going to use just this little extension tool to get to these areas. And then I'll show you how this attachment works with picking up the drywall dust. All right, so we're going to go ahead and vacuum up this drywall dust that's just laying here on the ground, and there's quite a bit of it. So this will give us a good idea of how this thing performs, and then I'll be able to show you guys how much dust gets trapped in the dust collector, and then also how much dust actually accumulates in the shop vac itself. So here we go. All right, so we're able to vacuum up a little bit of this area here. Now let me show you how much dust actually got collected in this dust collector system. And then we'll take a look at what actually ended up in the shop vac. All right, so I hope you guys can see this here. So it actually picked up, some of the heavier particles, picked up some sawdust, a couple pieces of wood, and a couple pieces of some of the foam insulation and stuff like that. So it works pretty well. I think it works pretty well for picking up larger dust particles. Now let's take a look at what ended up in the shop vac that did not get collected by the dust collector system. So the filter here, did its job, picked up some of the dust particles, and then also down below, so actually not a lot really got past the filter, or a lot of it got sucked up in the filter. But so there you go. The point is, this dust collector system works, and it works okay for drywall dust, and I would say medium to larger particulate material. However, I promised you guys I was going to show you a better way to pick up this drywall dust, and let me do that right now. So this dust collection system, it's a great DIY project. I think it is really good, or it would be really good for a lot of you guys who are doing woodworking, and making larger size particles of dust and debris and things like that. But for picking up drywall, I think it could be a little bit better. I don't know how well some of these store-bought dust collection systems work for drywall in particular. But I'm guessing if it's anything similar to this, while you get a lot of particulates caught in the dust collector system, you still get a lot that's passing through it, mainly the smaller particle sizes that's getting clogged up and picked up in the filter, which means you have to change out your filter in your shop vac a lot more frequently. So what I found, actually a neighbor of mine had mentioned to me that his shop vac had this feature to it, and I thought, well, I wonder if I could find something similar. So the better way, in my opinion, to vacuum up drywall dust and much finer particulates is to use one of these guys right here. This is a bag for the shop vac. This one in particular is a rigid brand, and the model is VF3503. And again, this one will fit most 5 to 8 gallon shop vac brand wet dry vacs. However, this is not to be used for wet applications, but it says it fits most 5 to 10 gallon vacuums, garage vacuums, not necessarily shop vac in particular. Of course, it also fits rigid, and it's got down here and on the back it tells you what other brands it fits. But if for my particular case, this is a shop vac 6 gallon size machine, and this is the particular bag I used. Again, it is a rigid VF3503. If you guys need one of these, I will have a link down in the description below. But let me show you, this is a really quick installation here. And again, I have used this thing already just to test it out, and it indeed works really well. So, if you guys remember any of the really old school, you know, homemade, or not homemade, but household vacuums that had the canisters, that had the bags, this is very similar. You know, it just has a rubber collar here that you slip right over the inlet tube, and then it has got enough grab to it that when it's vacuuming, this thing does not come off. So that's what it looks like once you get it installed. Of course, the filter fits right down in between, and it works really, really well. So there you go, guys. I hope that was helpful to you. Just a quick video on how to make one of these DIY dust collection systems, but also a better method with this bagged system if you guys are vacuuming up drywall dust and really fine particulates on your project. So again, guys, that is going to do it for this video. I hope it has been helpful to you. If it has, leave me a thumbs up. Leave me a comment in the comment section below if you guys have made one of these and how it's worked out for you. If not, leave me a thumbs down too. That's fine also. But as always, guys, I sincerely appreciate your support. Thank you for checking out the video. And again, if you hadn't done so already, please consider hitting that subscribe button. We've got a lot more DIY videos on the channel, including a whole series on this attic renovation project that you might be interested in checking out. So again, that's going to do it for this one. Thank you for stopping by, and I look forward to seeing you on the next one.